This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony and Catherine.
Good morning, good morning.
Great episode today. We have got Alun Vernals. Vernals, is that how you spell it?
Yeah, Vernals.
Cool. On us today, and we're going to talk specifically about first home guarantees, it's government schemes that they offer, and how it's really focused on low deposit options through going through banks and stuff. So, Alan, how are you?
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Thanks for welcoming us in.
Appreciate you coming in. It's awesome coming in here on an early Monday morning and getting this done.
So I've known AV for quite a few years now. We've done a lot of business together. So tell us about yourself for people that don't know AV.
Yeah, good one. Probably start with the current business, Finance 365. We're 10 years old. We're top 25 brokerage in Australia. And our sweet spot is essentially first home buyer construction. So essentially what you guys are doing is exactly what we do. So we don't really focus on refinances or investments or any of that kind of stuff. We really stick to what we know. And that's been obviously going for about 10 years. Prior to that, did 9 years with Resolve Finance, which is the ABN Group stuff, and set their business up over in Victoria for them. Spent 3 years over there doing that. Literally learned the industry from those guys. Systems, processes, all the background stuff, all the stuff you need to have a successful business. So really good grounding in the industry with those guys, and then took all the good stuff out of their businesses in terms of processes and systems, and then implemented into 365.
Right.
Cool.
Very cool.
So what I love particularly, I've done a lot of work with you over the years, but I'm really particular is when a client comes to me and they go, oh, I've got my own finance broker, things like that. I'm like, that's cool. I'm happy to help you or guide you with someone to refer you to them. But I always asked, is your broker comfortable with construction loans? Because it is different to sort of that established market loan. And I have, had hundreds of different cases where people come and they go, oh yeah, my mate's a broker, or my cousin or my auntie sister's dog's a broker and I want to use them. And I'm like, that's cool, as long as they're comfortable in the whole building setup and the whole construction loan, how it is slightly different. And then, it makes my job harder if the person actually doesn't understand how to structure that.
Yeah, it's hugely different. It's not slightly different. It's hugely different.
Yeah.
Even the processing of the first home buyers grant with some of the lenders doesn't happen until the slab goes down, which ordinarily isn't a problem if you've got the extra $10,000 for the first home buyers grant and the stamp duty to pay.
Yeah.
So it is different, and the timing of all the mechanisms in regards to construction is so important.
Yes.
And avoiding the lenders that aren't good in construction. And there's a few that actually don't do construction, your INGs of the world. They're not interested in it because it's complex, because it takes longer, because it's more touch points. They're not interested. They say, don't send us those deals. We're not interested. So we have a reduced panel of lenders, and that's the minefield we're trying to guide you through. Pretty much from the first point where we get the lead from you guys, it's all about borrowing capacity, what we can do, how we get you in terms of deposit and how much money you actually physically need.
Yeah.
And it's almost down to the fact that interest rate comes last, which is obviously every client's first question. What's my interest rate? What's my repayment? So we've got to uncover all the information first prior to getting to the really good information of what's your repayment going to be.
Yeah. I actually like Finance 365, particularly because it's similar to what we do, where we're completely independent from the builder. And that's why I generally, refer you quite a lot of clients, because a lot of the builders themselves, they have internal finance brokerage team, kind of how you were saying previously with ABN at Resolve. This is all fine. However, I prefer just to use a third party just to make sure everything is completely in alignment for the client's best intentions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, correct. Well, if you take Home Builder as a good example, all the internal finance companies were bogged down. They got busy with all the sales reps in the individual building groups selling the maximum capacity. So we then had overflow because we're independent, and we pretty much picked up all the work from all the other groups as we went. So that independency or the non-dependency of having leads coming in from the builders direct and having individual guys like yourselves that we're working with really frees up our time. We don't get bogged down with stuff that isn't going to work because it's qualified properly. and it's the right process for the client. So it makes sense for us to deal with guys like yourselves.
Yeah.
Because we know the clients get looked after all the way through.
The broker world as a whole, and regardless what you're selling, whether it's home loans or houses or whatever, it's all the same. I always wonder why people go, you wouldn't go to the shops and go to the first shop and go, oh, that's the t-shirt one, and not shop around to try and find the price. It's the same as your insurance and all that. That's where, especially finance broking, I think it's worth getting a broker to even check it, do you know what I mean? Because they've got access to so many more different deals than going to a Combank or going to or whatever other bank, do you know what I mean? So that's where we really push the broker thing, because we think, and then there's all this misconception that we charge a fortune. Well, it's not a case, there's all these misconceptions that don't happen in the broker world. And if they do, run if they're charging you up front, sort of thing, do you know what I mean? On simple stuff, right?
Look, we've got best interest duty now, which has been sort of a game changer for us. It essentially means we have to provide the cheapest option. The word cheap is actually in the legislation. So it really helps us, because when we are showing the clients 4 or 5 of their best options, it's not always the cheapest price that's the best option, and that's the bit that we need to explain. So we need to sit in front of people, we need to explain those things to them, and show them it's not always the cheapest price that's the best way forward, because that's where you get the biggest headaches, the biggest delays in actual finance application. So selecting the best lender sometimes can be the best time frame rather than the cheapest rate.
And I think it comes in really quickly what we do as well. Sometimes one of the builders that we present to you might not be the cheapest. We'll show you the cheapest option, but you could be waiting 18 months, or they don't have the inclusions that then, or that builder that you're working with doesn't do infills or doesn't do battle acts, and it becomes an absolute shit fight for them. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we want to sit down with the client, work it all out and go, actually, Alan's the best person for you to work with finance-wise, this builder's the best place, and we're going to work with this land agent, and these will work best interests.
Look, the other thing for us with construction finance is it's the hardest part of the market. So we deal with clients for up to 18 months, 2 years. Brokers who deal with refinances and purchases, the clients are in 14 days and they're out the door. They've bought their house and they've moved on. So it's a sticky part of the market. There's lots of things that you need to know. And it's a market that, as a finance broker, we can't get out of. It's what we've done from day one. It's the inception of the business. It's what we know. And every time we try and leave to do other stuff, we get pulled back to construction. So for us, it takes longer to get paid. It's harder to do all the deals, but it's just what we do.
Yeah. And the thing's the same with us, we're kind of playing in the investment market just now, but we know that first home market's just round the corner. I can feel it. The rates are starting to hold. It's just round it. And this is why we're here talking about what we want to go on to is the first home guarantee and the government, because I know you're like you said, you're first home buyer, so you're a gun at this stuff, and that's why we actually come in, because we know enough to talk to you about, but you're going to really break it down for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's just start with that. What is the first home guarantee?
Yeah, essentially it's a scheme administered by the National Housing Finance and Investment Centre. 35,000 places for the 2023 financial year, or 2024 financial year, which starts now, July this year.
Is that across Australia?
Across Australia,
yeah, okay.
Australia-wide. It's had various different guises through Home Builder. They split it up into various different names, but essentially it's the first home guarantee.
Okay.
The relevance to that essentially for the clients and what do they get? It's essentially a program where you can borrow up to 95% of the house and land package value, and you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. Savings there anywhere from 12 to 15k, and of course that's not just a saving of money that you need to throw in as a deposit. It's essentially money that's not added to the end of the loan, and you don't pay off over 30 years. So it can be quite a good interest saving for the clients. Main criteria essentially is 5% genuine savings. So the clients need to have an ability to save 5% genuine savings. You can use rent, historical rent.
Yeah.
So as an example, if you're renting for $500 a week now, $26,000 per annum, that would be a substitute for that genuine savings component. So the market then is a lot closer than people actually think. And we can actually then use gifts and the family.
Can you use part of the genuine savings and a little bit of your own savings? To say it's 40 grand you need and your genuine savings through rent is 30 grand. Can you put 10 grand in and mix and match them both up?
Yeah, pretty much. The maximum package price for the scheme in Western Australia has just moved up to 600,000 as well. Yeah. So the maximum you would need would be 5%, 30 grand. So you're home and host in that situation.
Yeah. So let's say, obviously we're, August now, but you got some tax return, let's say 12 grand or whatever, and then you got a gift or something like that, and you can use that with your rent.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, cool.
That's exactly what we're targeting with the people who've got the historical rent. They want to do this. They want to do it now. They don't want to do it in 12 months' time and have to save 26 grand. We can get them in by using that rent policy.
Yeah.
Again, everyone's got different rent policies, so it's not one rent policy fits all the lenders. So NAB, as an example, they take $500 per week as your commitment. They work out to be $26,000, which would essentially get you a $520K house and land package.
And it has to be a licensed rental agreement. It can't be like renting off your mum and dad. That doesn't, or you can, but you have to be certain things in place.
There's a few lenders outside of the scheme that do private rent, but none in the scheme. So the ones that are inside the scheme, we've got a reduced panel of lenders inside the scheme. There's only 30 lenders.
Okay.
When the scheme was first announced, it was only going to be second-tier lenders and smaller lenders that could actually lend the money through the scheme. Somehow NAB and CBA wormed their way in, and they're the bigger players on the scheme. And now Westpac have jumped on as well, so they're all sort of jumping in. So there's a few smaller lenders that have better pricing within the scheme. Great Southern Bank is one that we use quite a lot.
Yeah.
Their pricing's about 20, 30 points below CBA and NAB. So it's not necessarily, again, the lender that you would know. It would be the lenders that give you the best deal.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people out there know that you can use your rent that you paid as actual genuine savings, and it works. I mean, and I don't think they smash out there marketing wise enough to go that, because that's a massive.
Yeah, I think what's so hard now is the rent prices are so high, and people are like, "How am I ever going to get a home? Because I'm paying $500-600 a week in rent. Can I actually use this, to my advantage in a way to, get my foot on the door?"
You've got to remember as well, you don't need to borrow up to $600K. You could borrow a $500K package, which might reduce your deposit.
Yeah.
And you might find that your rent payment covers almost your deposit there, and you're like, right, what I mean, sort of thing.
Yeah.
We usually find people have got 5 to 10,000 in their bank account before they inquire anyway.
Yeah.
It seems to be a comfort level. So you're literally $10,000 away for most clients.
Yeah.
And everyone's renting. So there's not many that are here that you're actually not renting when they get to us. They don't have the private arrangements of living with family or anything like that. So,
and the 10 grand first homeowner grant would contribute to that, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah.
there's another thing. If you're not a first home buyer, you naturally get 10 grand off the government. Now that doesn't physically go in your bank, but it will count towards the 36 grand you need as a deposit, right?
The other part to the first home buyers grant that everyone misses is there's no stamp duty.
Yeah.
So it's a huge one. You get the 10,000 plus the no 5 or 6 grand in stamp duty for the land, and all of a sudden you're 15 to 20 grand better off than you would be doing established. Which people work out. They look at the established market, they realise they can't get into it, and then they work out construction and all the information that we have for them.
Yeah.
And they work out that it's actually a lot more affordable than they first thought. And that's where...
And the first home grant was really guarantees that was brought out over East, wasn't it? Because they were really struggling with the boom that all that happened. With WA, if you look at it, we were in a really good position to actually take advantage of this, because we have got the savings, and our buying a house and land package isn't as expensive as going.
Yeah, but like availability in terms of what you can actually get for under 600 is obviously hugely significant.
You can be in most areas, like within 30 minutes outside, 25 minutes outside the city, you can get a package. You may not get the biggest house, but you can certainly get if the location's really prominent, 600K would be enough to get you in somewhere, bricks and mortar, and then you add on later on.
Yeah. So with the first home guarantee, I know it's been around for like a few years now, but there's a lot of noise because there's some changes happening. What are the major changes with this scheme?
Probably the most recent ones are the scheme was set up initially for citizens. We had lots of people where, Filipino families, essentially, husband comes over, gets his citizenship, wife and children follow, PRs follow later.
Yeah.
We couldn't get them on the scheme.
Okay.
So didn't have the option. Now, since July the 1st, changes have come and permanent residents can get onto the scheme. So it's opened up just a whole avenue of people that were waiting.
Yeah.
They'd already made the inquiry, and then they've sort of gone back to just waiting, saving a bit more money. So we brought the market forward a little bit there with those. They're still coming through now. And essentially for us, it's the target market, because they've gone away, been told no, and they've now saved another 10 or 15 grand in the time that they're waiting, because they thought that was the only way they could do it. So that's been a really, really good one for us.
Yeah.
Income criteria, 125,000 for single applicants, 200,000 for couples.
And that's capped. I mean, you can't make more than that. That's what it means by that, yeah?
No, you can't. But the key part is it's the notice of assessment. Now, the notice of assessment can have a load of different information on there. You could have had multiple jobs through the year. As long as that notice of assessment for 2023 states that you earned under the threshold, they'll do the deal. So if you've just taken a new job and you're on 250 grand, you're still qualifying if you're on the previous information. So there are, again, ways around the criteria. and you need to know them. So it's the notice of assessment essentially is the key document, and that's where we take the income from.
Yep. So like you probably tell that I don't have a very strong Aussie accent, and neither does Alun here. So all our UK friends that are like hating the UK because it's a shithole at the moment and you want to move over here, there's options to, you don't have to rent, there's options to come in here and buy and rent and get your own house, you know what I mean, and build. So there's loads of options, and that's what I like about this. I don't think it's pushed enough that people, not enough people know about this.
I think it's just the recent changes. People probably aren't as aware. Do you know what I mean?
Even like, but yeah, do you know what I mean? But it needs to be put. This needs to be told, especially for these first home buyers, because we're getting coming through and they've got, I don't want a savings, Tony. No, but there's other schemes in them. And you start talking, you go, geez, I'm only a couple of months away from saving that money, or and you see their eyes lighting up, going, okay. And when they're looking at what they're paying in rent against what their mortgage payment's going to be, they're like, geez, it's almost the same. And so we're starting to see. I'm just starting to see them a little bit more bites for the first home buyers, which is great because that's what keeps us running and rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah, definitely. Look, the scheme, the further enhancements as well. I mean, single parents essentially that have children have to have been divorced, but essentially we can go to 98% for those guys, not 95%.
Wow, that's great.
We can, sort of matching them up with Keystart at 8.36 or whatever Keystart's at now. Yeah. So I think they've just dropped it to 7.6. So they did the right thing. And
Keystart's come to the table finally.
Honestly, they've also just seen the drop in loans going, well, hold on a minute, we've just lost probably 80% of the market. They must have with that.
And probably with the staff that they employed through Home Builder. They've gone, all the way up with staff, and then they realised that the taps turned off and the builders can't sell any houses, and all of a sudden no one qualifies the 3% buffer at 10.3.
We're all here sitting waiting, and it's like it's interest rates. I feel that what's slowing it down right now is the interest rates, and I understand why, but that's what I feel really slowing the first home buyer market. Sorry, not the investment, the first home buyer.
Yeah, for us, the sign that the people don't see on interest rates is the banks add on a 3% buffer to ensure affordability. And that's the thing where when we're trying to work out whether someone can borrow money at Keystart at 8.36, we're actually working them out at 11.36. So you've got to qualify at that 3% higher to get the money at 8.36. Now, I know they've dropped the rates now, but that's the same with all the banks. We qualify them at 3% higher. That's the buffer. That's set by APRA. It's not set by the lenders themselves. And it's to ensure that if people, if rates do go up 3%, people can still afford their mortgages. So it's there for sound reasons. What will happen over the next couple of years as the market sort of stagnates and the rates start to flatten out? So we probably might have one rate movement to go, and then after that they'll flatten out, and we're thinking rate decreases at the end of 2024.
Okay.
What will happen essentially there is the banks will lower the buffer from maybe 3% to 2.5%, and then 2.5% to 2%, because they don't need a 3% buffer at these higher interest rates. So APRA will work those things out as we go.
Yeah.
But that's what they've done historically, and it's we know it's around the corner.
And on that information as well, right, that works out really well for people that want to build, right? We're halfway through 2023 now, right? We're still looking at the 12-month mark to build. Now, I reckon by the time we get to into 24, it'll be a lot shorter, but we're seeing the 12-month build guarantees come from some builders. It takes about 3 months to get to slab. So there's your October, November. If the interest rates are going to drop, your repayments through the build, and then by the time you get in the house, your repayments are going to be low. So start thinking ahead, not like, oh, shit, it's 8%, I'm getting, hold on. Yep. By the end of 2020, you might be down at 5-6%, and then hold. That becomes a lot more realistic, and your equity and all that, it's all going to work for you. Just do the hard yards sorting out, right?
Well, the other part's the house is built, so you're moving in, so you're getting your keys at that point.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting the benefits. So during construction, it's interest only, so you're not paying the full repayment.
Think about what you're doing now, and you're not building this house to move out in 2 years. I know Catherine, I've seen Catherine do employment. She's like, how long you stay in the house? Oh, 5-7 years. Then just build it to a certain way. Don't build your dream house. There's no point. You're supposed to, your second or third house is essentially with the one you stop in, isn't it? Really, move house 2 or 3 times, and that's what we've done to get ourselves higher up in the property market to a better area. But we harp on about it. First home buyers, I want to live in Como. Like, well, it's not happening, right? Unless you're a millionaire, you're not doing it, right? So.
Yeah, we call them stepping stone houses.
Yeah, we love them.
Yeah.
I started the stepping stones and Catherine jumps into that second, third home buyer like, hello, hi, I'm Catherine, I'll help you with this stuff. You've got money? I will. But with the client we had, remember, we had an absolute nightmare. We got that one over the line. And that's the thing, that's what I do work with AV as well, is we had an absolute nightmare client. He was a great guy, but just didn't understand it. Oh, no, Sean, I love you. It wasn't a nightmare, it was just a nightmare deal to get through. You know, it was a nightmare deal. There's a lot of moving parts, guarantors, but
location, yeah.
We got it done.
So
we got it.
Real basic guarantor, which was going to the branch network and actually making her present, which was difficult because it was COVID times.
Yeah.
I think it was a 9-month process from
really was, yeah.
And we changed the lenders at the end and got him a much better deal.
Well, he's in now. He got in 2 months ago. He's in the house and loved it. He was like really thankful for everything. He understood his frustrations during it, and we all do that. But it was like, every time we got someone, there's like another.
What we'll do is we'll do a valuation, and on the next podcast, you can tell him how much equity he's got.
Yeah. He would have made.
Well, I talk about my prize when the Angela Cooney one that we done, and it was she got it valued again at $500,000. So she bet $385 in Halshead. She got it valued at $500K, so 115 grand she made.
Yeah.
And Halshead, which is Mandra.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And just in saying with that story with Shawnee, but Shawnee. No, you know, I've worked with AV even when I worked directly with a builder, and I never really used the internal finance broker just because they had that huge volume of clients coming through that I just felt that my clients weren't looked after as much as I would want them to. So this story where you're like, I had to, you know, call Queensland during COVID and deal all with this, they wouldn't have the time to really put that effort and that capacity in. So probably a few years into working directly with builders, I switched and went independent and used sort of independent third-party sort of finance brokers. And I just felt the quality of service was just exactly what I needed. And I know if I need to call AV, he's already made the call, he's already done this, he's called the client, he's asked for the paperwork. And that makes my life so much easier to help the client actually design their home and build their home. And because AV is very strict with me, and he'll say, you have to have it max 550, don't go over. And I said, great, that's parameters I'm working with. And I really appreciate that he puts that extra mile in for my clients.
It's the same as well, you know, with Alan's got a bit of a team behind him as well. They're all pulling in one direction for that one client. You go to and it's not against the building finance brokers, but that's why I prefer to use like AV and stuff would be when that client is, everyone's pulling in the one direction for that client, whereas the, you know, other finance brokers, if they're all people trying to grab the clients and pull them in, and they're all after their own slice of the commission cake sort of thing. Whereas you're like, it should come.
What I find is more the internal builders, they might have 50 new clients a month quite comfortably. So they will deal with the first 15 easy clients that have a strong deposit, you know, all the ducks in the row, things like that. So when a Shawnee comes through that's got a guarantor in Queensland, he's bottom of the barrel in terms of priority, because to get him over the line requires 9 months of work. Yep. And that's when it's so disheartening, because you're like, oh, I've now got this friendship with Sean and I really want to do what's best for him and have good intentions. But if you don't have the right team and people in place, that's when things fall apart pretty quickly, you know?
Oh, look, I think I've been pretty fortunate with the people I've hired over the journey. We've not lost too many along the way. And the people that I've got now, they've been with me sort of 8 to 10 years. Most of them have been with me from day dot. So they understand construction finance. They know what we do. And they're all pretty good at it. So even the support staff, the 2 girls that run the back office, Rachel and Carly, they've been, you know, in construction finance for a very, very long time. And Carly's 26 and she's been doing it for 10 years.
Wow.
So
she's an old duck, 26.
Yeah, which sometimes it's a hindrance because she knows too much. You just need to try and get something manufactured to get through. Yeah, and she's like, no, you can't do that. Like you got to do it this way because that's how the bank work in the background. And I'm like, no, I still want to be a broker. I want to move things forward, and she stops me in the background. But your people need to challenge you, and that's what we've got. So we don't take no for an answer. We keep going with things until we can work out a way of doing it. And it might be delaying it 6 months. It might be delaying it 9 months. It might be go away and save an extra 5K and I can save you 3% in interest rate. Whatever it looks like, it's not necessarily the day we get the deal, we have to do it. It's how do we get you educated and get you on the pathway to actually getting that loan in play for you.
And I 100% agree. We've got clients, and you're 6 months away, right? But that doesn't mean you have to start in 6 months. Let's start in 3 months, because it takes. We know the timings as long. But then how we had a few times where the client doesn't turn up with the money, and you've done all this work. So there is a bit of that occasionally. But you set the standards, set the plan. I've done things where I sit in the whiteboard and go, right, this is where you're at. This is where you need to be. This is the point. And every month we check in, and they're absolutely hammering. You go, we've got confidence that we can sign paperwork to get the ball moving. But you get that feeling with clients going, I'll just say that we're not going to push on with this one until they've got the money, because the inconsistency of whatever, or their car's broke down and they've lost $1,000, whatever, we've got to make sure it's not a case of, no, you can't do it. We can do it right now, but this is what we need to do. And I always try and give the advice of where you need to be to get what it done. And some people just disheartened and walk away, but I'd rather do that than trying to manufacture or put hopes up. And I just don't think it's fair.
Ideally, if we could get those clients at that particular point as well, where we start to run the credit file, we run the checks, the comprehensive reporting that gives us 2 years data. Is there any refinancing we need to do to minimise monthly repayments to make things fit the serviceability calculators? So the earlier on in the process we get, the better information from the client, the better outcome we have every single time. So the clients that can't provide paperwork for us, usually it takes longer to get the answer for them. So if we can be organised, get the paperwork, which is where you guys are fantastic. You come in, you have all the paperwork, because that's what I need.
Yep.
We have all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, and we never ever have a bad result. It's pretty hard. Then it literally just comes down to savings plan.
Yeah,
it's the first thing we do. We have a quick chat with the client, usually before I meet them. I've got their finance records, and it's sent over to the broker that I think best suits them. And then when I sit down, I know where they're at, because there's no point going, this is what it takes to build a house. I might go through the process quickly so they've got an idea, but we're at this point, you're 6 months away. We can't, we've went through all the options, and that's why having a broker like yourself on in that team to go to and give you away. We can do a quick, see when you sit in the display homes and the sales rep rips it out, just rip it up and put it in the bin, because that means nothing. Get an actual broker to do it. So no, that's why I love working with. That's probably why.
Yeah. So to wrap up, we're going to do a little fun hot seat, which I'm sure you're so excited about.
Here's the chat. What do you do? Come in. These questions are on the email.
Don't worry, they're not too embarrassing.
First of all, there's no comment.
Okay. So I'm not gonna ask you Eagles or Dockers, because I know the answer is neither.
Correct.
Yeah. You're a soccer man, or football, sorry.
If anyone in the AFL, it's probably Collingwood.
Collingwood.
Everyone hates them, so
okay.
It's a very strange one.
Well, somehow Carlton beat them, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Who's your football team?
Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah, he also is, what do you coach, trainer? I don't know what you'd call yourself.
Coach.
Coach?
Just changed from Perth Glory 15s. Had my last game yesterday. I'm just taking the head gig at Armadale, so I'll be the NPL coach at Armadale as of tomorrow night. So yeah, exciting times.
Good league. Again, there's some talent coming through.
There is, mate, yeah. Well, the kids I've just been coaching at the Glory, there's some real talent coming.
I've got a good friend. I mean, his son's just signed for Fulham, Chris Donnell.
I know Chris, yeah.
Yeah, Chris has been to Fulham. I'm good mates with his dad, Craig. Anyway, that's a side subject, and we'll get on that after.
I'm with football. Let me tell you.
Now you can complain after talking about football and a bit told. I know. We got in so much trouble.
Okay, question two. North or south of the river?
North.
Trader.
Well, more east. I'm Bayswater, so east.
Okay. Northeast.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just say. Let's say.
Bayswater.
You just say, right?
You're just there. Okay. Dunsborough or Rottnest?
Probably Dunsborough.
Ooh. Okay.
Red wine season.
More pubs. Rottnest, just stuck in one pub. It's no good to me.
If someone was to buy your drink, what's your drink of choice?
Straight lager. 1 pint. No schoolers. No ponies. No middies. I want a pint of alcohol, 568 millilitres, please.
Might need to write that order down. I won't remember that one. If you were to invest in a suburb right now, which suburb would you choose?
I've just chosen Bayswater.
You did?
Yeah, there's some really good stuff in and around the new train station.
Yes.
I pretty much know every street just from walking and getting around the joint. Been there now since 2015. The train line coming in is a $200 million Metronet development. Going to be the first area out of the airport. So all the 5-4 people will come. It's going to be a real gun area for the next 10 years, 15 years. So it's close to the city. One train into the city takes about 12 minutes.
Yeah.
For me, that's my gun area.
Zoning will be good as well to start cutting up and dividing and subdividing eventually.
If I was doing a specific house and land package on this particular scheme, I would look at that Metrolet line going to the east all the way through Caversham up to Ellenbrook, and that would be the corridor that I would look in if I had to do a house and land package. Bayswater
always gets a lot of inquiries just because of like the things you mentioned, but just the location towards the city and also the easy access. You're not sort of going to those, the major traffic channels. But I find sort of a lot of the subdivisions are more those rear blocks, those battle acts, and then you definitely have a lot of noise issues with the train. So that's something I always have to take into account, a little bit hilly. So there's sort of my restrictions in terms of the build end, but the numbers make sense because it's such a high demand area. It's more just getting that right block in Bayswater more so than anything,
Yeah, it's pretty expensive too. It's moved, even in the last year, it's moved a massive amount. It's just some of the blocks you were looking at for 250, they're now close to 400.
Tons you'll get out there if you were to commit to it. Their tons are there forever now, right? They're on the line. When the train line's there tons are there forever.
You'd say so. Yeah. You'd say that when they finish all the developments, they tidy up the town centre, they get all the, the low density housing that they're doing, the 4-story type stuff. And then the population growth that comes with having a more vibrant town centre, you'd say it's a pretty good area.
Yeah. Okay, last question. I haven't done anything too embarrassing for you. So no,
sitting down.
This one's safe, but you might lose some friends. But if you were going to build a house today, what builder would you choose?
Oh, gee whiz.
Don't worry, I'm just going to put a like on LinkedIn and stuff, just in front of everyone in the industry.
I guess it depends on the style of what I was trying to build. And the returns where I wanted to go. So
say we're building Bayswater.
I'll probably go with someone like a 101. If it was a 2-story, block size in Bayswater's a little bit smaller, so you probably need to go 2-story.
Townhousey type thing.
Yeah, so I'd probably go like a 101 residential. That would be what I would look at. The style and the sort of the facades and the 2-story, and kind of matches up with what I do.
Yep.
1-story. Not really. I'd probably go for someone like a New Homes WA. My mate sort of runs the show up there. So, I'd probably go for someone like that. But yeah, I've got no real alliances to any. So
yeah,
tough question for us.
I know.
You should flip.
No one likes those questions.
You should ask me about where should I put the finance deal.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for coming on today, AV or Alun Vernals for your professional name.
I really appreciate it. Like, as always, guys, we'd like to comment, share, follow all the good stuff for us. And again, thank you so much for coming in. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.